All right, folks, here we go. So let's start on your warm-up. Basically today, we are going through distributive property stuff and word problems all rolled into one. That's basically what we have here today. So I'm going to read. You're going to follow along. According to the California Department of Forestry, an average of 539.2 fires each year are started by burning debris. Right over there, bonfire last night, that's burning debris. Do you guys remember all the stuff coming off of there? That could have caused a fire. But it's wet. It has to be if it's really dry. Like, you guys ever see the fires like out in California? That's because it's super dry out there. It never rains. So anytime a spark or anything, it like the whole thing catches on fire. Yeah. Are started by burning debris, while campfires are responsible for an average of 129.1 each year. It says, write an algebraic expression that represents the number of fires on average in D years of debris burning and C years of campfires. You guys see the variables we're supposed to use? Yes? So how do I use them to tell me a total number of fires for the year? Perfect. Wonderful. D is for debris and C is for campfires, right? Okay. How many fires would there be in 5 years? So if I know that we're going to calculate this for 5 years, what should I do? And times 5. Both of those variables are going to be 5, right, folks? Okay, so go ahead and do that. Put a 5 in there. For both variables. Dalton, you got your calculator? What do we got, folks? Type it in. Got a number for me? 3,341.5. Sounds good to me. Now, I don't necessarily like parts of this problem because if you ask me, how do you have 0.2 of a fire, right? It's either a fire or it's not a fire. Or how do you have 0.1 of a fire? Because they had it like that in the original problem, that's why I left it as 0.5 here. If it were me, I would be rounding this because you can't have half a fire. But because of the original problem and the way they worded it, we're going to leave it like that. Everybody okay with that? Okay, before we go on to the next problem, tell me what it means to be an area. To find area. What are you finding? On the inside. Okay? The amount that it would be to just cover the inside. We're not filling it, right? You're just covering it because filling it is what measurement? Volume. Surface area is like you're going to wrap it in wrapping paper. Okay? So how do you find the area of a triangle? Length times width times height is a volume of a cube. You're close. What? Say that again? If you put your two answers together, you're right. You said base times height, right? And you said divided by 2, right? It's base times height divided by 2, or 1/2 base times height. If you look at this question, we need to write an expression for the area. Does the 1/2 change ever? Every single triangle is going to have that 1/2 in there. So we keep the 1/2. What's the base of this triangle? H plus 6. What's the height of this triangle? H. Now, it looks kind of funny to have multiplication on the front of the parentheses and on the back of parentheses, correct? So you could write them both up front like that. So there's my expression. Now, what else do they tell me? after I have my expression. Let H be 12. Does everybody see that? So what am I going to do with the 12? Put it in for H. Uh-oh. Why did I put... I put a B there. I'm sorry, folks. Where am I going to put the 12? This H, that H, or both H's? Both. And this is multiplying, so I'm going to put that 12 right there in parentheses. So what's half of 12? What is 12 plus 6? What is 6 times 18? Some of you guys need to pick up your calculators and be an active participant in your learning. 108. It is not going to get you anywhere to just sit there and copy it down. You have to interact with me up here, okay? So here was my expression. Here is my answer that I evaluated. Questions for me on those two at all? Doing all right? Okay, so read along with me. Camilla, read along with me. Camilla sells tickets at Duke University's athletic ticket office. If P represents a preferred season ticket, B represents a blue zone ticket, and G represents a general admission ticket, interpret. What does interpret mean? Educated guess, explain it to me, okay? You're going to be explaining what's happening with an educated guess. And then evaluate. So I have to do two things. I have to interpret and then I have to evaluate. Now listen carefully. We are just going to talk out the interpretation. You don't actually have to write it, okay? But I will have you write your evaluation. So look at number 1, or letter A. What does 45B mean? How many blue zone tickets? 45 blue zone tickets. 45B means 45 blue zone tickets. Everybody good there? How would I then evaluate that? What would I do? Nope. This says 45 times B. I want to take out the B. Put in 80 because the blue zone tickets are $80, aren't they? How we doing up here? Doing okay? So we're going to take 45 and multiply it by 80 because they're $80 a piece. So how much would she need to be collecting from this group that was buying these tickets? $3,600. Everybody following along? Okay, explain to me what 15P plus 35G means. Did everybody hear Trevor there? Does that make sense? Yes? Okay, now I need to evaluate it. What would you do to evaluate this thing? So that's my preferred ticket price. That's a pretty expensive ticket. Times what? Okay, so how much would she be collecting from this group? Did you guys get that? Or the whole thing? I want you to do all of that right there. She said 3,950. Luke says yes. What do you think? Yeah? 3,950. Okay. Letter C. What does that big old long thing mean? Everybody good with Trevor's explanation there? Okay, but now I need to evaluate it. So how am I going to do that? Yep. Next part. Okay, keep going. Wonderful. All right, so how much should she be collecting from these people? $3,020, she says. $3,020. I have a follow-up question here for letter C. How many people are going to the game in this group for letter C? How many people are going? This plus that? What's 6 plus 11? Plus 22? Everybody good there? Does that make sense to you? Because you got to have a ticket to get in, right? So if I add up how many tickets I'm buying, that's how many people would be going. This is how much they're going to spend, but that would be how many are going. Fine? Okay, moving along. Let's go down to the bottom problem. This is a flea market. Everybody know what a flea market is? We're not selling fleas. Okay, it's where a bunch of little vendors set up and they sell what they make or what they have or what have you, okay? Read along with me. They could. One day, 28 small and 12 large merchant spaces were rented. Another day, 30 small and 15 large spaces were rented. Write and evaluate an expression to show the total rent collected. So, the first thing I need is the expression. What would you do here to find the total rent collected? Anything, Savannah? Say that again. Yep, we're going to write an expression. What would you write? Large? Okay, so what? But we know how much they cost, don't we? Okay, what are you going to write for how much they cost? Does everybody see where Savannah's getting that from? Somebody give me another piece of this. Besides Savannah. Go ahead. Everybody good there? Somebody else give me another piece. Somebody else. Okay, and who's going to give me the last piece? Somebody else. I'll wait. Come on, somebody else. $15 times 975. Okay, so that's pretty long, isn't it? Could I write this a little bit shorter, a little bit more efficiently? You see how both of these are multiplied by 7, right? Well, the distributive property says I can put a 7 out front and then add those two, and that means the same thing. You see how the two end ones are being multiplied by 975? So the distributive property says I can put that 975 out front and then add those. Okay, so there's my expression. Now you need to evaluate the whole thing. 669 and 25 cents. Can I get a second on that? Yes? We're good? Okay. Well done, folks. Are we ready to go to the back? A-okay? Okay, so on the back, we're going to do number 3, and then we're going to skip and do 5, 6, 7, and then come back to 4. Go ahead and read number 3 to yourself, please. Maybe next time. I have the stations ready for tomorrow. But maybe next time we'll do whiteboards. All right, folks. We're still going to a game, right? Baseball game this time. I want an expression for the cost of the tickets. I have no variables up there, do I? I have no chart that tells me how much they are, do I? So I'm going to need to use some variables. What would you like to use for your variables? A for what? So A is going to be adults. Is that the number of the adults or the cost for the adults? Okay, so I'm going to put a little money symbol next to it. What else did you want to use? Y for what? For the 11-year-old? Is that the number of 11-year-olds or the cost for 11-year-olds? Okay. What else do you want to use? For the children? And again, this is a cost. It is not a number of children. So now that we have our variables defined, what's my expression going to be? How's everybody doing? Do you guys see how in the directions it says to evaluate? Can I evaluate this thing with the information that I have? No. What would I need to tell you in order for you to be able to evaluate it? You got to know the prices, right? You remember those charts that we had on the front with the prices? Say, I would need to tell you what the prices are. So we cannot evaluate this the way that it is. So we're not going to. Good? Okay, skip number 4. Let's go down to number 5. Go ahead and read it. Again, your directions say to write and evaluate. So can somebody write me an expression for the number of pints of blood that were given over 3 days? What do you think, Trevor? That's for 1 day, right? So then how do I show I need to do 3 days? What do I do to this to make it be 3 days? What do you think, Quinn? You're going to multiply the whole thing by 3, because if that's for 1 day, if I multiply by 3, then that'll be for 3 days. So that's my expression. Now I need you to evaluate it. $5,250. Is that okay? Well done, guys. You guys are doing great. Doing great. Okay, next. Kenji is picking up takeout food for his study group. Interpret the expression. So make an educated guess on what that expression means. What do you think? I don't need to know what it equals. I need to know what it means. That is going to be his total cost, correct? From that, what did he buy? Go ahead, Trevor. Yep. 3 cups of soup, yep. 3 salads. 5 drinks. Everybody see where he got that from? Yes or no? Okay, I don't need you to write it. We just needed to talk about it. But then you would evaluate that, and that'd be his total bill. How about down here? How much would it cost if Kenji bought 4 of each item on the menu? What would you do? That will work, won't it, folks? Can I write that a little bit more efficiently? Quentin? So folks, both of those expressions will get you the same answer. Doesn't matter which one you do because of the distributive property. What will his total bill be? $25.04. Good. Questions? How are we doing with the word problems? Okay? All right. Down there, geometry, number 7. A regular hexagon measures 3x plus 5 units on each side. What is the perimeter in simplest form? First of all, what's a hexagon? How many sides? That's a pentagon. 6 is hexagon, 8 is octagon. So how many sides does this one have? This thing has 6 sides. Okay. What is the perimeter? No, the perimeter. What does that mean? The length around the outside. So I would have to do what with all my sides? I would have to add them all up, right? And how many of them are there? 6 of them. I can just multiply by 6 because aren't they all the same? How do I know they're all the same? It's a regular hexagon. Anytime they use the word regular, that means all the sides are the same size. Okay. So what do I do with this now if I want it in simplest form? Gives you? Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. So all that leaves us with now is back up to number 4. Okay. So we're going to translate these things and then we're going to simplify them. Okay. So you got to look for keywords and then we'll try and write it out. Here we go. 5 times the difference. Now, folks, what does difference mean? Subtraction. And I have to multiply by the whole difference, don't I? Does it say 5 times the difference? So we're going to say 5 parentheses, and I'm going to put my difference in there. Now, what's going to go on either side of that minus sign? Q squared is one of them. Is that what you're going to say, Dalton? What's the other one? What goes on the other side? And R. Does everybody see where that came from? Now it says plus 8 times the sum. So I need to do 8 times a whole sum. 3Q and 2R, he says. How we doing? But you need to simplify it. So what are you going to do? Okay, what do you get when you distribute? Everybody following Savannah? Okay, what about the next part? How's everybody doing? Now the question is, can you put anything together? What can be put together? This goes with this, right? So what do you get? Use your calculators. Positive 11R. And then what do we do with the rest of it? Just drop it in. And that would be your final answer. I believe the first couple in your homework are like this. Okay, moving on to the next one. The product of 5 and m squared. How do I show the product of 5 and m squared? Do I need to have it in parentheses? We're going to smush it together, right? Okay. Then it says increased by, there we go, the sum, increased by the sum of the square of m and 5. So what do I put around that? M squared and 5. Okay, but now I need to simplify it. So what am I going to do? Distribute. And what am I actually distributing? A positive one, correct? Is that going to change anything about that? No. Now, can I put anything together? You got it. These two things can be put together, and it gives you 6m squared plus 5. Good. Good, good. All right, one more. 7 times the sum. So how should I start this one? Parentheses, right? For times the sum. B squared. And C. Minus 4 times the sum. So how do I show that? And it's a sum again. B squared and C. Now we're going to simplify it. Okay, what goes together? Gives you 3 what? B squareds. What else goes together? Gives you? Good. Wonderful. All right, so that's it. Everything from the beginning of the school year till now is what you're going to be quizzed on Monday, which is what we will be reviewing tomorrow. All good? Okay, here's your homework. Homework. Kind of all over the place with homework today. Make sure you do the right problems, please.